Hey guys, it's Emily, and today I am going to be doing a not so 24-hour reading vlog is what I shall call it. It's Thursday today. I was originally going to do a 24-hour readathon or read along thingy on Friday, just reading for 24 hours straight. But I'm just going to start it a bit early because I feel like reading, and I feel like if I pick up like anything else right now and I get super into it, then I won't want to read what I plan to read for this video. I have this series here that I'm picking out that I'll be reading for this vlog, and it's I believe, the Moment of Truth series by Lauren Barnholt. So basically each book follows a different girl from this friend group. So each of the three girls years ago wrote emails to themselves that they would get in the future right when they are starting grade 12, and it's telling them to something that they want them to accomplish by the end of the year. And so I think each of these books take place in like their school trip to Florida, and so the first one follows one girl who I believe has a boyfriend who she's like planning on losing her virginity to, and then she is supposed to like lose her virginity on like the school trip or whatever, and then she gets there but the bus is already left and it's her and this other guy, and they have to find a way to get to Florida. And I believe she's gonna fall in love with him instead. I don't remember what her thing was. I will get into that, what her email thing said. The second book follows another one of the friends named Quinn. The first one follows, what's her friend's name? Sorry. Her name's Lila. The second one follows a girl named Quinn, I believe also in Florida, but I don't know the gist of what her plot line is. And then I know about the third one, and the main reason I wanted to pick up this one because this one has a friends to lovers relationship in it. So prediction-wise, I think this one will be my favorite, but I just want to binge them all because they're all pretty short. And like I started reading the first one and then decided I'm like, I want to binge this whole thing. Like they're short enough, I think I could do it, and I think it's gonna be a fun time. And I think something else that's like they all take place, I believe, at the same time. And I think something else that's also interesting because like I think the friend groups, like all the girls are like were friends, but now they're no longer friends for whatever reason. So this will be interesting. I'm really excited to read this. I hope I love this. So yeah, I'm gonna start off now with Heat of the Moment, and I will update you guys while I'm reading this and tell you my thoughts.
Okay, he's like, okay. It's the morning, it's almost 11 a.m., so I slept in. Oh well. I did pick up Heat of the Moment last night. I got to like page 35, so I did make some progress on it. But today's like the 24 hours I'm supposed to be reading it, and I'm gonna try. It is pretty easy to get through for the most part. Like, it's been interesting so far. I was a bit wrong. Like, I thought maybe she was gonna miss the trip and they weren't gonna let her on the plane or some stuff, but no. Like, once she got to the airport, everything was fine, and I was just like, oh. Like, I thought Beckett was gonna take her the whole way there, and then they were gonna bond or whatever, but no. And then we have Quinn and Avon, who are the other two girls. We haven't met Quinn yet, but we did meet Avon, and there's like apparently some like mysterious thing that happened between them that broke them up, and it has something to do with Avon. And so Lila, I feel like, is the most unlikable character. She's like very mean to Avon, and Avon seems really sweet, and I like her so far. I think she will be my favorite protagonist. That's all for now. I'm gonna continue reading, and I'll update you guys once I get farther into this. 10 pages. I'm on page 44, but there was a fight that broke out between Lila and her boyfriend Derek, and honestly, like, it's kind of dumb. Lila could have really avoided this. Like, she just had to tell the truth, but now, like, the fact that she didn't tell the truth made things more suspicious, and like, had she told the truth from the beginning that like she got a ride with another guy to the airport, like, I don't think he would have cared, but the fact that he lied about it made it suspicious. I gotta say, Derek seems like a great boyfriend, and I think Derek's too good for Lila. The main character is so dramatic. Like, she hates everyone, and I mean everyone. She doesn't like people. The only person she seems to like in this book is her boyfriend Derek, and now they're fighting, so it just feels like she hates literally everyone, which kind of makes me hate her. I also forgot to mention, like, her thing, like, her email said was that she needs to learn to trust. That was it. How was she going to learn to trust? Because, I don't know, she couldn't seem to trust that her boyfriend wouldn't get mad at her, and so she lied to him. I don't know. This main character. Oh my. This main character has got to be, I think, the most selfish main character I have ever read about. Like, she's so self-centered. Like, I can't take her. The book is still interesting, though. I will say it's really gripping beginning. Like, it keeps you interested in wanting to know what's going to happen. So, like, it's the farthest I've gotten a book in a while, so that's positive. I'm gonna predict this one's gonna be my least favorite. The second will be my second favorite, and the third one will be my favorite. That's how I think this is gonna go. I have a feeling that, like, this big thing or whatever, this big betrayal thing that happened was actually, like, I was like, oh, woe is me, and this horrible thing that these two girls did to me, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be Lila's fault in the end. It's just, she seems to cause all this unnecessary drama. And I'm just like, oh, this girl, I would not want to be friends with her.
Okay, so I've gotten into it more. I'm not like updating you on like page 53. I'm on page, I believe, 116. That's where I'm at. So I'm nearing the halfway point, which this book is really fast to get through. We finished the first day of the trip. I think Lila is so annoying. Like, she's probably on the same tier as the witness main character in choices. And, like, you can have unlikable main characters. Like, I'm still enjoying this despite how unlikable she is. I'm more reading this. I'm, like, excited to see the other two girls. I'm more excited for them than I am about Lila. I just think she's not, like, she's so self-centered, so selfish. Like, her email was to learn how to trust, but I kind of wish it was, like, to be a better person or, like, to be less self-centered. Like I wish that was what she emailed herself, because I feel like, I don't know, that could have been an interesting plot line, and she hasn't really grown as a character, and she's super flawed, and even Avon, like, I think, called her selfish. And the romance, I don't know where it's going. Are, like, they supposed to get together? I think they are. I'm assuming, I have an assumption of there's, like, I guess a love triangle, but it's pretty obvious, like, who she'll probably end up with, which I kind of am annoyed about. They're trying to, I feel like, some way make Derek out to be the bad guy boyfriend. Like, oh, like, he did all of this, like, he ignored you this whole day of the trip, and I'm like, it's not really a bad thing. Like, he was kind of frustrated that, like, she lied to him, and, like, it was, like, only one day. And, like, she couldn't just, like, stop thinking about Derek. She just wanted to go be with Derek because she was upset, and, like, she's, like, no other friends but her boyfriend. And then she's, like, literally hates everyone else in this book, like, besides her boyfriend. I kind of get in the capacity of, like, when you have, like, no one else to hang out with, like, it sucks. But then she's, like, overreacting to everything. Like, Beckett, the other love interest kind of character, bought her ice cream, and she's like, oh, like, how would he feel if, like, he bought me ice cream? I'm like, dude, it was, like, $3. Like, get over it. I'm worried there's gonna be cheating in this book, and, like, I really don't want that to happen. My assumption, like, is that she's gonna end up, like, hooking up with Beckett and then regretting it because she cheated on Derek. I'm assuming she's gonna cheat on Derek. Like, I just have that feeling there's gonna be cheating, and I'm not really a huge fan of it in this aspect, if that's what happens. To say she's ruining this book for me is kind of true. I am enjoying the plotline otherwise, and I'm looking forward to reading the next two books. I really like the writing style of this. Like, it's really easy to get through. I kind of feel like she should end up with Derek in the end, though. I gotta say, like, I kind of, like, while I do like Beckett as a character, I like him more than Lila. I don't like when he was calling Derek a douchebag, because I was like, and, like, listing off these reasons for it. I'm like, that doesn't really make him a douchebag. He was mad that she was lying to him, like, which I think is understandable. Like, why did she need to lie about it? It only makes things worse. Except, like, it kind of reminds me of, like, Scum season 1, because I feel like it has somewhat of a similar premise. Like, it's a lot about Ava and her relationship with her boyfriend, Eunice, I believe his name was. But then there's, like, a lot of complicated stuff that happens, and then there's, like, other ships involved in that. So I don't know, if you love Scum Season 1, I feel like you would definitely like this book. So I'm about halfway through The Heat of the Moment by Lauren Barnholt. I'm on page 159-ish. I'm ready to push this main character off a cliff. I thought I was annoyed with the witness main character. I feel like, I think out of any book I've ever read, I've never hated the protagonist more than I do right now. Do I hate her more than Belly? I think I do. From the Summer Pretty series, I think I do hate her more than Belly. This girl is ruining the book for me. She's so freaking flawed. So I'm on page 159. I'm gonna go into slight spoilers, so like if you don't want to be spoiled for stuff that happens, because I feel like to get my point across on why I hate her so much, I'm gonna need to spoil some things. So there's a spoiler warning on the screen here, so once that goes away, I have shut up about spoilers, but let's get into it. The main character, Lila, cheats on her boyfriend Derek with Beckett, as I predicted. Seemed pretty obvious. She was like about to tell him, and I was like so proud of her. I was like, look at her go. She's gonna go tell her boyfriend and be honest with him about stuff, and I'm sure he's gonna be mad, and maybe this is why they'll break up. No. She was about to tell him, and then she's like, nah, I don't think so. And she has like the lines she's using. I've read cheating in books before. A lot of the time it's like the love interest that's dating somebody and then there's cheating involved is when I read it. For the most part, doesn't necessarily bother me, and it's not a reason I'd like rate a book lower. Though I can acknowledge like it's problematic and like relationships should come out of cheating. Beckett seems to like not give a crap about the fact that she has a boyfriend, which bothers me. I'm like, you're not even respectful of that fact. Like, you're going after her anyways and like flirting with her anyways. Like, does not give a crap. Yeah, and I don't think he feels guilty whatsoever that he kissed her. I don't think the main character feels guilty that she kissed Beckett either, to be honest. She, like, while she's like upset, like she's like, oh no, how could I do such a thing? But I don't think she really feels that guilty. Like, I think she really does think she's perfect. She's like, nothing bad has happened yet. Yes, I kissed another guy. Yes, Juliana saw me, but she hasn't told Derek, and I need to keep it that way. I'm like, girl. And then the line that really got me, when you think about it, not telling Derek is probably the best idea. I'll just deny it. For Derek's own good. Not mine. It's actually very unselfish of me. It's quite the opposite. Like, she wants to be with Derek, but that doesn't seem really obvious, because, like, she's taking every chance she gets to cheat on her boyfriend. Derek deserves so much better. As much as I, in a sense, wanted her to end up with Derek in the end, in some capacity, like, she doesn't really deserve Derek, honestly. Derek deserves to be with somebody else who will treat him better than this. And then she's, like, still trying to sleep with him, which is the messed up thing. She's like, yeah, I'm just gonna, like, sleep with him and, like, not tell him that I kissed another guy, but, like, we can still, like, sleep together and stuff. It's like, who is this girl? Like, this girl is so annoying, and I just can't handle her. I'm ready to push her off a cliff. Is it bad I want her to be single at the end of this book? I don't think it can get any worse than this from here. Like, I think Quinn and Avon's stories are gonna be so much better. I'm gonna go continue reading this now, hopefully finish it soon here, and I'll let you know my final thoughts. So it's like 5 p.m., almost 6 I think, and I finished Heat of the Moment by Lauren Barnholt, and I gave it 3 stars, which I don't think is surprising at all. Sorry, I like just ran from downstairs. Gave this 3 stars. I don't think that's surprising to anybody. Yeah, I think there was some good things I liked about this book, but a lot that I wasn't crazy about it. Like, I don't hate this book, while I do hate the main character a whole ton. I think the fact that I gave it 3 stars does say this book is somewhat good. I do think I'm definitely going to enjoy the other 2 books more than this one, because I don't think it's possible to hate the other girls more than Lila. I think I told you most of the stuff I was mad about. Lila doesn't necessarily really improve as a character. She learns to trust, but she never really, I don't know, becomes less self-centered and selfish. She's like, I don't know, still remains that way, even at the end of the book. And then they still tried to villainize Derek the whole time, and that kind of just bothered me. I'm like, he doesn't have to be perfect. Like, oh my goodness. And, like, there's a scene where, like, he left her in a hospital or whatever, which I think coming out of my mouth, like, probably sounds pretty bad, but, like, given the circumstances, without spoiling too much, I understood where he was coming from. There is cheating in this book, which I feel like is something I should mention. I kind of said that was kind of spoilery, but, like, there's cheating, which I think a lot of people discuss now, like, if there's cheating in a book, to, like, warn you about that. So I wasn't a fan of that, and, like, I don't know, I wasn't really convinced that she felt guilty about the cheating. They didn't do what I predicted was going to happen, but, like, it was somewhat similar to some extent. I really wanted more of the friendship aspect, which I'm hoping we'll get in the next 2 books, more of that, so I'll keep you posted. This one didn't really have a lot of friendship development. Like, at the end of the book, it was kind of just like, let's, like, resolve things between us or whatever. And I think that we'll see that more in detail in the other 2. Like, we're going to see this ending. But if you read this as a standalone, the ending would probably seem a bit abrupt. But I'm interested in seeing what happens next with the other 2 characters, because I just like them more in general. Yeah, I wanted more development with the characters. I really wanted the friends to see them around more. Like, I get that they're the protagonists of the next book, so we'll learn more about them as characters and stuff, but I really want to see more of their friendship. Whether it was, like, more flashbacks of their friendship and, like, when they were younger and, like, when they were all friends, you know? Like, I would have loved to see that more so. And I also just wanted to see their friendship, like, develop to get back to the point where they're like, let's be friends again. That's how I feel about this one. I gave it 3 stars. I think I've talked about this book enough for you to get my overall thoughts. I might write a review at some point, but I don't know. I feel like this vlog already gets my thoughts out pretty well. It is pretty easy to read, so if you're, like, in a reading slump, I definitely would recommend this, because I was in a reading slump, and I read this whole book in a day, so I think that, to some extent, it's, like, very interesting. It's really easy and quick to get through, which is really helpful in a reading slump, so I definitely recommend it if you're in a reading slump. I think this is a good book for that. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I want to play Hollywood You a little bit. I might curl my hair, because I kind of feel like it, even though, like, I'm at home, I just feel like curling my hair, because, you know, why not? I'll probably get some food, and then I'm going to start One Moment in Time, which I'm super excited about. So I'm excited to see what happens with Quinn. All I know, like, I know there was some guy she was with in this book, but I don't know if that's the guy she's going to be with in this book or not. So I'm intrigued to see what happens with her story, who her love interest even is, because, like, with Avon, like, I do know her love interest, but, like, I only really know his name and that, like, he's the best friend. I know nothing about Quinn's love interest, but I'm intrigued to see who he is, what the story is, and all I know is that her email was telling her before graduation she wants to do something crazy. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen next, and hopefully we get some more insight to, I don't know, their friendship and more development. I'm excited to read this one. Alrighty, so it's like 9 p.m. now, and I'm about 60 pages into One Moment in Time. It's fine so far. I like Quinn more as a character than I do Lila, but I don't know, I feel like it's maybe because I just read the last book, like, you know, like, a lot of the events in some capacity are somewhat similar, so there's, like, stuff that, like, happened in the last book that are also happening in this book, because similarities taking place on the same trip. Just met the love interest, I believe, so I don't have much of an opinion on him yet, because, like, we just met him, so I'll give you more opinions once I know him better, but I think it's gonna be pretty whirlwind as they fall in love, like, on this trip. I don't typically like whirlwind relationships, so we'll see how I feel about this. So, I mean, like, in some capacity it's better than the first book, but I feel like because I read the first book, like, today, I'm kind of just, like, meh. I don't know. But I'm going to continue reading this. I'm going to take, like, a short little break. Oh, yeah. So this one follows Quinn, and she has distanced herself from, like, her old friends, Avon and Lila, because Lila kind of freaked out at them, and it kind of just ruined their friendship or whatever. And so her email had said to her before graduation, she wants to do something crazy. She's going on the class trip, and she's hanging out with her friends that, like, I don't know, they aren't their best friends. She doesn't really seem to care about them that much. It's kind of like, we're hanging out in high school, but, like, that's all it is. Like, she already kind of knows they're not going to be friends after high school. And she also not only gets her email from herself, but she also gets an email from her dream school, Stanford, and they have rejected her application, like, saying she can't come to school. and it's a big deal to her because, like, her dream school. It's the one she wanted to get into and didn't get into it, so she's pretty upset about that and just trying to find a way to get her parents not to know, but it seems like her parents have already found out. Kind of dealing with that, and kind of figuring out, well, now what am I going to do, because my plan was to go to Stanford and that didn't work out, so now what? It's good. I'm going to continue reading it, see what happens next.
So I'm now about 100 pages into One Moment in Time by Lauren Barnholt. Okay, so while I definitely had like my issues with the first book, I feel like it always kept interesting, and I don't know if I'm just like not as interested in this one for whatever reason. Like, I think in some weird capacity I somehow liked the romance more in the last one than I do this one. I'm just not like vibing with it. I don't really care for it, to be honest. It's been a really small part of the plot line for one. Like, it's only just started now, and I think it's gonna pick up a lot more. So it's like started like at 100 pages, so like into the book. So it's definitely like a bit harder to get into than the first one was. I do like Quinn more as a character, but I'm just not sure if I like her story, ironically, more than the first one. The first one was really easy to get into. It was a fun story overall, but this one's just not as interesting. It's not really holding my attention as much. One thing that's really keeping me going is getting to the last book, because I kind of just want to complete this book to, you know, see if there's any other things I should know before going into the last book, because I kind of like want to have like a clear picture of the whole series. I feel like if you read the series, I feel like I'll reevaluate like once I have finished the third book, but I feel like you only need to pick up one, to be honest. In capacity, they're all kind of the same story. They're all sort of following some similar plot where there's some email. Lila kind of just ignored her email the whole time. This one, Quinn's actually like going to do crazy stuff. Like, I like Quinn more as a character, so I thought I would like this one more, but I think it's like at this point it's still like would probably be a 3-star. Like, I'm just not that invested in the relationship overall. I don't really care about the other characters. There's that sense of like care that's like gone, where like I feel like I did care about Derek, so maybe like I liked the scenes with Derek, and I did to some capacity like Beckett, though I feel like he's on the same level as bad as Lila, so I don't know. But I'm gonna try to continue reading and go from there. So it is now 11:28, and I've been reading more of One Moment in Time. So I'm currently on page 200. So I have like 90 pages left. So I should be able to finish this and then jump into the next one. But I'm gonna take a bit of a break because my brain, I don't know, this needs a break from, my eyes need a break from reading. So far, I'm getting like a bit tired, but for the moment, like I'm keeping my momentum going. But I'm currently on page 200 of One Moment in Time, and it has picked up, which I'm so excited about. I am enjoying the story. At this point, like, I'd probably give it like a 3.5. So like the story's gotten better. The romance I'm surprisingly liking. I didn't know how I'd feel about it because like it was whirlwind, and I don't really like whirlwind romances, especially because like it was like really flirty at the beginning, and I don't really like romances like that. Like I don't. But this one, surprisingly, I'm liking, which if an author can make me like something that I don't traditionally like, I think the author's a good writer. That being said, like the other parts of the book, like it's still like not the best book ever, but I am liking it more. I'm definitely liking it more than the last book. There's definitely like, I feel like a lot of character growth in this one. Like I feel like in the last book, there wasn't a lot of character growth in Lila's character, as much as the author tried to make you believe that. Like there wasn't. She was still the same selfish person at the end of the book. Where I feel like with Quinn, she's definitely growing a lot as a character in this, and she's reevaluating what she wants. So this one's definitely like a bit more coming of age. The romance definitely became more of the main plot the next 100 pages into the book. So once you get like 100 pages in, the romance just, you know, is the main part of the book. I picked up. I'm curious where it's gonna go and like what's gonna happen to them. Like I don't know if they're gonna, you know, get a happy ending or how this is even gonna work, because like he lives in Florida and then she is just on a school trip. I'm curious to see how this is going to work, but I don't know. I find the romance actually kind of cute. Like, they have had some steamier moments, which, like, I wasn't a huge fan of because I just generally don't like that kind of stuff. But there's been, like, a lot of, like, really sweet moments between them, which I don't know. I just wasn't expecting it. It's just, like, this cute scene of them just, like, cuddling and, like, talking about like what they watch on TV, and like that was the moment that I just started shipping them, and I was like, this is cute. Like, well, it was like a really random scene. Like, it wasn't like the cutest thing ever, but like, I don't know. I just had like a thing. I was just like, they have really good chemistry together, that it's really written really well, and like the love interest is actually like really sweet. Like, the main character's kind of like worried that like he's gonna be a player and stuff like that, which I think is the same kind of thing Lila was worried about too. He's definitely less of a player than Beckett was. I don't know, he's just a great guy all around, and he's super sweet. I think something I'm not really liking about the book is the characters kind of feel a bit one-dimensional. Like, while I do generally like them, they don't really like have a lot of personality to them, so I would like more, I guess, from that aspect. Quinn's like said that she's like passionate about science and stuff like that, but besides like saying like that's what a career she wants to go into, like I would like to see her be like maybe like a bit more nerdy about like sciencey stuff, and she's not really. Mentioned in the previous book, like while we're getting like more insight to I guess Quinn's character, we aren't really seeing any of the friendship. Like Quinn hasn't interacted with Avon at all, so that's something I would have liked to see. She has interacted with Lila quite a bit, but it's all the same interactions that we saw in Lila's book, and I wish we had more interactions with Avon, so maybe that'll come up in like the last 90 pages. Well, I'm curious to see what's gonna happen. But yeah, I'm generally enjoying this. I'm gonna take like a little bit of a break from it to stop my eyes from reading for a little bit, watch some YouTube, and then come back and jump into this. So it's like, I think, midnight. It's 1 a.m. It's officially 1:09 a.m. And I finished One Moment in Time. I gave this a 3.5 like I said I would. Maybe I'll bump it up to 4 stars. I don't know. I really liked this one overall. It got a lot better after the romance kicked in. Someone said that in their review too, and I completely agree with them. This one wasn't as easy to get into as the first book was, but once you got like to the 100-page mark, you were hooked. I was surprised about how much I did enjoy the romance. I actually thought it was really cute, which is surprising because I don't really like the... Sorry, this chair is squeaky. I chose the wrong chair. I don't typically like whirlwind romances that much, but this one really surprised me, and I really liked it. So when I like a whirlwind romance, that's a compliment, because that's rare for me to like them. I usually strongly don't. It kind of reminded me of It Sounded Better in My Head. I can't remember who it's by, but I read it like a little while ago. That book was a bit forgettable for me, so I definitely like this more. But I don't know, it kind of had that coming of age aspect of like how I feel like the main character in It Sounded Better in My Head was kind of like going out of her way and trying new things in a sense that weren't necessarily her, which Quinn did a lot of too, so in that sense it reminds me a bit of that. This one definitely has that more of a coming of age aspect than the first book did, which I like that a lot more, that this had that, along with the fact that she's also falling in love with this guy, and it's really cute. We did get another scene with Avon, which I appreciated, so I'll be seeing that in this book. Overall, I really liked this. I don't really have any complaints about it besides the beginning was slow. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else to say, to be honest. Maybe I'll think of more when I wake up and I've let my thoughts settle a bit more on this book, but overall, that's currently what I have to say. Picking up from this moment on, which I'm so excited. I'm so excited to read this one. Like, this one I know this one's gonna be my favorite. I know I'm gonna love it. Like, I just have a gut feeling it's gonna be my favorite. I could be so wrong, and maybe this one's my favorite. I'm sorry about the squeaky chair. But I think it's gonna be this one. Like, I have a strong feeling. I really like Avon as a character, and while we haven't really met Liam in the other 2 books yet, I'm excited to see his character, and it's like a best friend thing. So that's like my favorite trope. So I feel like we got a winner here. Like, I think it's gonna be this one, and if it's not, that'd be really surprising. But she wrote a whirlwind romance that I like, so I think she can write a friends to lovers romance that I'll like. So it's now 2:28, 2:29 in the morning. My dog Steve's chilling here. Hey, Steve. He's been hanging out with me all day as I read every single book, just cuddling. He's such a cutie. Like I said, I've been reading from this moment. I'm a bit, like a bit tired, so like if I'm not making the most amount of sense, that's why. I'm on page 84 currently, so making my way through this. I'm enjoying it so far. It definitely so far seems like it's gonna be my favorite in the series.
definitely reminding me so much of my two first loves. Like, it's like the same, except Noah doesn't exist in this one. Noah was just existed in the first book, and he was like a problematic version of Noah. Basically, this story follows this girl named Avon, and she has had a crush on her best friend for multiple years since she's known him, and her email that she had written to herself, like, she remembered exactly what it was, and it was to tell the truth, which basically meant tell her best friend Liam how she feels about him. The problem is Liam has a girlfriend, and it's her friend Izzy. Very similar to the same thing that happened with Mason Ava and then the My Two First Love main character. There's kind of some similarities in that, and I feel like it's going to go somewhat in the same direction as that. But so far I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to see more of them and where their relationship's going to go. My heart like has hurt for Avon so many times. I'm like, she doesn't deserve to be sad. I just really feel for her character. I feel like more than the other two characters. Like, I really felt like what she was going through and her emotions. I also really like her as a narrator. I really like that I feel like all of the girls have like really distinct narration styles, and they're all like really different people, and they make different choices, and they sound very different. So, like, I didn't really click with Lila's character, but I generally liked Quinn's character. And then Avon's character is super relatable to me. I'd say she's probably the most similar to my personality. I'm kind of hungry, so I might just go eat some food and then, like, watch some YouTube and stuff like that, and then come back. Good morning. Obviously, it's not the middle of the night anymore. I did decide to end up going to sleep. I was kind of watching BookTube, and I just kind of just didn't feel any motivation to read. Like, I just didn't really want to, and, like, I don't want to make reading a chore because, like, I'm just getting out of a reading slump, so, like, making it feel like a chore isn't great, so I'm just like, I'm just gonna go to bed. Like, if it's not fun for me, why am I doing it, you know? Then I woke up this morning a couple times, and have since picked up from this moment. I'm currently on page 152, so I'm excited to see where it's gonna go at next. I just ended off on, like, a interesting part, so I'm curious to see what's gonna happen. But I'm enjoying it. At this point in time, I think I'll give it 4 stars. That being said, though, while there's like a lot of things I like about it, so let's talk about the things I like about it first. I really like the best friend relationship, obviously. If I didn't, that would be a problem. There's like a few times I haven't enjoyed best friend relationships, specifically catching feelings on episode, because it was a really bad one. I like their just relationship in general. Like, Liam's really passionate about music, which is cool, and they also have like this book club together, so both of them are like super passionate about reading, and so they like different books. Like, he's more of like real life, like award-winning kind of books, and she likes the girly, romantic, happy, lighthearted stuff. So I feel like I really relate to her in that aspect, because, like, that's my reading taste. They do a book club, and, like, they take turns, like, choosing the book, so sometimes it'll be, like, the girly one, and sometimes it'll be, like, the award-winning stuff. So that was a fun element that I wasn't expecting, that they're kind of nerdy. And then the main character is also writing a book, so she's kind of, like, briefly touched on it, and it is kind of based on her relationship with Liam, as it's, like, a friends to lovers thing. So I relate to that aspect. I don't think I've never based any of my books off my crushes, but, like, I see. I like the writing aspect of it. What I'm not liking about the book is the fact that Liam has a girlfriend, and I'm kind of come to the age where I'm so sick of the trope where the reason, like, the characters aren't together is because there's some other girl in the mix involved who's the girlfriend, who the book tries to villainize, usually, for the most part. I think the only time, like, one of the only times I remember, like, the girl wasn't villainized was in Maybe Someday. Like, she was a great girl. Like, she was never, like, villainized as a character. In this book, they're definitely villainizing her. Like, even though, Avon and Izzy are friends, like, it's obvious, like, I don't like her. So, like, the book's very much making you villainize the girlfriend. Izzy is annoying. So, like, obviously that's being written well because, like, I'm being annoyed by her. Like, she's so dramatic. Their relationship is, like, so toxic, too, which I don't know if the book necessarily addresses. Like, it's obvious, probably. It's not coming out front that it's toxic yet. So, like, Izzy constantly has just decided that Liam's cheating on her. I don't think he is. I think it's pretty obvious, like, it's a misunderstanding. And so, like, she doesn't trust him, and she keeps getting, like, even, like, her friendship with Avon's really toxic, because she constantly keeps bringing Avon into situations that she doesn't want to be in. Izzy's trying to constantly get, like, Avon to solve all her problems with Liam, and Avon's like, no, that's your business, you figure it out. Especially with the whole cheating thing. She's like, go ask him if he's cheating. And I'm like, she's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I do appreciate that Avon definitely does stand her ground with that. Like, she never does any of the things that Izzy asked her to. She's like, no, I'm not doing it, and, like, sticks to it. She might think about it a little bit, but, like, she never does it. But I just really am sick of seeing the other girl involved. Like, I think I would have liked this book a lot more had Liam actually not had a girlfriend in the beginning. I think that would have been just, like, an interesting plotline. Just, like, they're best friends, they're both single, but, like, Avon's worried about ruining the friendship because she really cares about him as a person, and she's like, if I say something, like, I don't want to, like, lose, like, all that we have just to, you know, risk a relationship. Like, I would have rathered that plotline rather than the fact, like, I don't even know if he likes me because he's dating some other girl. I'm sick of that. Like, there could have been, like, other girls flirting with him. Like, that could have been a thing. I would have been, like, okay with that. But, like, a girlfriend, I wasn't expecting that going into it because in the first two books, like, it just mentioned, like, Avon and Liam hanging out. Like, there was no mention that Liam had a girlfriend. And I was like, hold up, what? Whereas, like, these books, like, I feel like it expects you to have read them in order because, like, it definitely will mention, like, the Lila, and Derek stuff. Like, they mention, like, oh, Lila has a boyfriend. And, like, oh, there's this other guy she's hanging out with. Like, I don't know. Like, the book's very upfront with that. So I feel like if you read this book before you read the first book, you would definitely, like, know what would happen. I think this, like, the first one's not the most worth the read. It's fast, if you're looking for something fast, but I think the other two books in the series are better. There's also this thing, it's come across in all of the books so far, where the main character is, like, thinking something, and then they say that thing out loud, and it's kind of just, like, a weird writing thing. They're like, oh, I think that dress looks pretty, and then out loud they'll be like, oh, I think that dress looks pretty. Like, I'm like, okay, you didn't need to say that. You could just been like, oh, like, I don't know. There could have been other ways the author could have chosen to describe it. Like, she, like, literally says, like, the exact same thing in her head that she says out loud afterwards. I don't know, it's just a weird writing thing, and I just don't really like it, and I've seen it done multiple times. So I'm kind of tired of that. Otherwise, I'm excited to see the relationship develop more. So she thinks he's cheating on her, and then she ends up going through his phone, which is, like, a complete invasion of privacy. You just don't do that. No. And then finds this Annabelle girl, and there's no evident proof that he's cheating. He's just talking to some girl named Annabelle. I think that, like, she's either, like, his cousin or, like, a relative or something, or that, like, even Avon mentioned that she might be his cousin, or, like, maybe, like, a therapist or something. That's a theory I've had. Like, I feel like it's someone who's helping him. It hasn't been that long since I last updated you. I'm on page 166 now. But what a chapter. I'm gonna go into spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled for this book, I have a spoiler card, so just come back once the spoiler thing is gone. So there was kind of like a fight between Liam and Izzy, and it broke out. It seemed like they broke up, to be honest. They probably did break up. Then Liam went to Liam went to go find Avon to explain things to her because he didn't want her to think that he was cheating and that he was a cheater, because, like, he really cares about her opinion, like, they're friends and stuff like that. And so he goes to talk to her or whatever, and then, like, he explains, I was right about the therapist thing. Then after, like, he explains the whole situation, he's like, oh, isn't it weird that, like, you know, I went to go find you instead of Izzy? Like, I cared more about your opinion than I did Izzy's. Like, isn't that kind of weird? And it's making it sound like he likes her. I think he does, and he's just not admitting it. I think there's gonna be more miscommunication, honestly. It seems, like, already obvious, like, he does. Like, they obviously they connect more, like, they have a lot of things in common, and, like, they have a really good freaking friendship. Like, he really cares about her. He's like, oh, is that weird? And she's, like, thinking, like, the way he's making it sound, it's like, oh, he probably likes her. Like, I was ready for him to confess his feelings. I was like, oh, no. I was shocked. I thought he was going to confess feelings. And so she's like, okay, well, this seems like the perfect opportunity. Like, it sounds like a pretty good setup. It's sounding like he likes me back.
So she tells him she likes him, and then he's like, oh, I'm sorry if I gave you the wrong impression. I'm like, what kind of impression do you think I was gonna give? You're like, oh, I'd rather be with you than my girlfriend? Like, what did you think, them? Liam, I think he does like her. He's just not admitting it because he's worried that, like, he's gonna ruin the friendship and stuff like that. And he's like, okay, let's talk about things. She's like, nope, well, nothing has to change, and you already said that, so, like, we got that covered, so. Like, he really let her on, and it's making me mad. I was like, Liam, buddy, what are you doing? So now she feels sad. I really like Ava as a character. She's probably my favorite character in the whole series. I relate to her in a lot of aspects, and I think she makes, like, a lot of the right decisions, and she really thinks through things a lot. Like, she didn't just do the thing, like, the email thing because it was told her to do it. Like, she generally wanted to tell him because she was feeling, like, all these awful feelings inside when she saw him with a girlfriend and stuff like that, and it was hurting her, but, like, she needed to know, like, did he by any chance feel the same rather than this wondering. And so she really thinks through that. I'm gonna get back to reading now. So I just finished From This Moment by Lauren Barnholt, and I'm gonna give it 4 stars, like I said I would. This one is definitely my favorite in the series. It definitely wraps everything up, so, like, if you read any of the other 2 books in the series and then decided not to continue but wanted to know what happened with their friendship, the last chapter of this book does explain everything, and it does go, it does spoil things, so, like, if you don't want to be spoiled for the other 2 books, then maybe save this one for last. But if you want to feel like everything's wrapped up and you only want to read one in the series, then read this one. In a good direction. This was definitely the most slow burn relationship in the series, which I liked. You were questioning whether or not they were going to get together. There was a lot of drama, but, like, it kept you interested the whole time. So I think the series was predictable in the sense, like, I predicted my favorites from the beginning. I kind of assumed this one would be my favorite, this one would be my second favorite, and then this one would be my least favorite, which is exactly what happened. I'm just gonna review, let's talk about all of them quickly. I'll reiterate their synopsis if I wasn't really clear enough about them before. First one is Heat of the Moment. This one follows a girl named Lila who has a boyfriend named Derek, and she ends up being late to go on their school trip to Florida, and the bus has already left and she has to be on the bus to get to the Florida trip or whatever. Anyway, so she ends up getting a ride with Beckett, this, like, mysterious bad boy player guy from her school, and that's when things start to kick in high gear. Her email said that she wants to learn to trust, and she's starting to figure out, like, trusting Beckett, and then, like, also figuring out, like, if her relationship is with Derek is, like, what she wants. So that's what this one's about. This one is my least favorite. I gave it a 3-star. I think I'm gonna stick with that rating for now because I did like the series. I think overall, like, it did get better with every single book. This one's the easiest, I think, to get into. Maybe this one or the third one. But it's really easy to get into. Especially if you're in a reading slump like I was. I think it's a good one to pick up. It's definitely interesting. There's a lot of drama, and while I don't really like this one, just for the fact that, like, the main character, I strongly disliked her, and the love interest was problematic. I liked the boyfriend better, which never happens, so rare occurrence for me. I don't know, I'd be interested in reading a story about Derek, to be honest. Like, if there was another a 4th book in the series, like a novella or something about Derek and his during this trip, I would have been okay with that. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but each book takes place on the same trip to Florida and takes place in the same time span, so you'll see some of the events, like, repeated in the other books that happened in one. So, like, events from this book happen in the other 2 books as well. I wish there was more development with the friendships, I think, overall, for all throughout the series. Like, you did also get to see from each person's perspective about the situation that, like, broke their friendship, so you get to kind of see what happened, what went wrong, and, like, their understanding and their perspective from it, which I think is really cool. But I also kind of wish we saw more of them as friends, or maybe flashbacks of friends, to get me to be more invested in the friendships and understand it a bit more. Once I felt like I knew all the characters, I did feel a bit more invested in the friendship. If you're just picking, like, only one of the books in the series up, you're not going to feel as invested, I don't think. Then there's the second book in the series, One Moment in Time. This one follows a girl named Quinn, and her email has said she wants to do something crazy, and the trip to Florida has not started off well, as everything is basically going wrong. She's found out she didn't get into Stanford, which is, like, her dream university. A guy she kind of liked was with another girl,
And what else? There was other things. She ends up with like rooming with like her ex-best friends, and she's like not thrilled about that. And so she's kind of just like on a downward spiral. She's like, I can do everything perfect, and like still things don't go on my way. So she decides to give into her email and do something crazy, and that's when she meets a local boy named Abram, and they kind of hit it off, and she starts kind of falling for him over the course of the trip. The relationship is kind of insta-lovey whirlwind romance. So if you like whirlwind stuff, you'll probably enjoy this. And even someone who doesn't really like insta-lovey whirlwind sort of stuff, I did like that. I really enjoyed the relationship. I felt like once the relationship kind of kicked off the book, I actually was more interested in the story. This one I gave a 3.5. I really liked Quinn's character. I thought she was a great all-around person. And yeah, it was just a fun time, you know? And then the last one was from this moment, which I just finished. And I gave this a 4-star. And this one is the shortest book in the series, but it also wraps everything up. So any loose ends are explained in this one. The characters do go in depth and like talk about things and fix the relationships, where these two kind of end just before finding out like do they get to get closure on like what happens to their friendship. This one does go in depth and talk about what kind of happens like with their friendship and stuff like that afterwards. So you get that idea. This one's also a best friend romance. So this one follows this girl named Avon, and her email is to tell the truth, and that basically means she needs to confess her feelings for her best friend. But the problem is her best friend is dating one of her other friends, Izzy. So she can't tell him because, for one, that'd be wrong, and she doesn't want to get like involved in that. But then there's like a bunch of drama between them on the trip, and yeah, so find out if Avon does confess, if she likes her friend Liam. It was overall cute. I really liked this one. Definitely my favorite, the most slow burn of the series, and you weren't really sure if they're gonna get together. This one reminded me a lot of Love Life in the List, which is also a best friend romance. It's by Casey West, so I feel like if you liked that, you would like this as well. I think their friendships are kind of similar with each other. So like, I don't know. They're both really good. I gave them both 4 stars. So if you liked that, you should check this one out. I think you would probably enjoy it as well. I feel like reading back to some of the events could be repetitive, but like I remembered all the events, which I don't know. This is a fun series to binge read because it gets companions, so each story follows a different girl, and it did get better with every single book. But if you choose to pick up one, I probably recommend this one the most because this one will give you the closure you're looking for with the friendships, but it will spoil the events of the first 2. So if you want to pick up more in the series, then I suggest picking up, you could either read all of them or just pick up these, I don't know, your choice. You could pick up the first 2 books or something if you don't want to be spoiled. This one does spoil things at the end of the book on like what happens with the relationships and stuff, so just be worried about that. But overall, I had a fun time with this series. It was a fun time overall. I really enjoyed myself binge reading these. I feel like binge reading series and stuff like that, like whether like in like the shortest amount of time span that I can, kind of works better for me than 24-hour reading vlogs. I just can't seem to stay up, and like, I don't know, I like my sleep. I don't really like staying well up into the night to read. It just doesn't seem to work for me that well. So let me know if you'd be more interested in vlogs where like I know I can complete the series and like I don't just like stress about it. Like I go for it and I read the entire series. Also, if you have any more like YA contemporary romance series, like summer romance or whatever, please recommend them to me. I'm constantly like looking for other contemporary series. I'm trying to find more series where like you follow the same characters every book. I'm kind of anticipating doing the same thing for the Burn for Burn series trilogy with this kind of video concept, because I read the first book for that and I want to reread it and then do that, like maybe binge read it, because I had an overall fun time reading these books. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know if you want to see more content like this, and if you liked this, give it a big fat thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more of this lovely face, and I'll talk to y'all soon in a new video. Goodbye!